with me and my channel. So, we are here tonight, and this is going to be a weekly feature. And we are just so excited to have Michelle Pettis with us today. She has sacrificed herself to learn how to tackle and have her relationship with food. And anytime we hear people who have had a relationship with food, there has been some struggle. And as we know, this channel deals with chronic pain, obesity, overweight, or the things that are weighing you. And many people have said on our channel, hey, I don't have a weight problem, but I received the message because I have some things weighing on me. And so we are so proud to have Michelle. She wrote this book called Leaving Large, and I actually have her information in the community page and also in the discussion. Finally, it copied in the discussions. But I want to share a story in one of her chapters where, in those days, and I talk about Black history on my channel, and y'all know that. In those days, there was segregation, and this gas station called Stuckey's welcomed all races of people. And so as her family was going from Mississippi to California, they stopped off at Stuckey's. And as a kid, honey, getting some chicken and some french fries is a treat today. And what that meant to her, because prior to that, she only had chicken at home with grandmama. But what I love about this story is that it was just such a treat. I mean, everything in the store, the logs, all the shiny stuff. Now, see, we Black, we knew don't touch nothing. See, some of y'all didn't teach y'all kids that, so don't touch nothing. But you look. But what I like is she said in here, when I saw a Stuckey's sign, I wanted to go to Stuckey's to relieve the pleasure wrapped up in that first experience with her aunt and her cousin and her uncle. It was never ever about food or hunger back in those days because they weren't hungry either. But the food tastes good. It was about the experience which became one with the food. And then she asked her grandparents as they were riding in their vehicles, Grandma, when they see the Stuckey sign, and back in present day, kids act this way over McDonald's, but back in those days, it was over Stuckey's. And she was like, Grandma, let's stop at Stuckey's. Grandma and Granddaddy talking about, we got food at home, and it will always be true. So I love that. And as she was with her sweetie going down the hills ahead, they go to Stuckey's. And now, and this is what she says in the book. Now, okay, but the yearnings of my youth have since calmed. This is powerful right here. I didn't feel the urge to stock up on pecan logs, red soda, fries, and fried chicken. And as simply or strange as it may sound, I now enjoy the peace. The word that struck me is peace that comes from being free from the desire to recapture the past through food. Wow. Knowing, this is another thing she says, knowing that the real adventure was the vacation that await us. We are trying to deal with this food so we can live.
Yes.
Michelle wants to talk about shame, anger, and fear. And in her own way, I'm going to say, take it away. Michelle, why are you here? Why are you on this channel? What's going on?
Oh man. I am on this channel, Deborah Ann, because I have to be here.
Okay.
I am here. I am in this work because I have to serve.
Okay.
I am I am compelled. I am compelled to share with anybody who is ready what I have learned about beating down this food addiction beast.
Okay.
That's why I'm here. I am here to tell anybody who is struggling to let them know that the food is that much of it,
Okay.
but it is we gain weight because of what we put into our consciousness first. We
Mm,
gain it in our minds, we gain it in our spirits, we gain it in our thoughts before it ever shows up in our bodies. And
mm.
that is something that we aren't told, that it's not shared with us. And so we're constantly, and I know because I did it for 40 years, fighting, trying to make it the food. we're fighting trying to make it the food, and we get disappointed, we get frustrated, we get upset, we feel like a failure when just dealing with the food doesn't work, or when we lose
Mhm.
the weight and we gain it back because we
Mhm.
haven't been given the tools to deal with the emotions that keep the food, the results trapped on us.
Mhm.
And I'm here to talk about that. I am here to talk about every every emotion, any emotion that we talk about, whether you think of it as being good or whether you think of it as being bad.
Mhm.
Because I mean the reality is emotions are just that. They're neither good nor bad. They're just information. But I am here to talk about them so that we can unpack them, so that we're not afraid of them, so that we know how to process them, so we know how to get connected to ourselves. And when we get connected to ourselves, then we can connect with other people, and then we don't have to use the food. And you, Deborah Ann, you said something that was so critical when we started off the conversation that I wanna jump in on it right away. And
Okay.
I used to say it, and I hear people saying it, and I wanna kind of lay it out a little bit. And that is relationship with food. That is a phrase that I intentionally do not use because I have consciousness now about it that I did not have before. And part of it is this, is that relationship, the word itself lends itself to this notion of reciprocity, right? Meaning
Uh-huh.
that I do this, you do that. I do this, you do that. Well, food can only sit on a plate. It can only sit on the plate. It can only sit in the vending machine. It can only just sit on the shelf. Food cannot have a relationship with us. And so one of the things that keeps us in that cycle is trying to have a relationship with something that cannot have a relationship with us, believing that that it can do something other than satisfy hunger. So once we get clear that the only thing that food itself is a physical substance. So it can satisfy a physical need, but it is the emotions that we have wrapped around the food, which you so eloquently talked about in that Stuckey story, that creates the idea of emotion and relationship. That's where things kind of get confused, where we get it kind of where we get it kind of twisted. But when we unwrap that and kind of and lay it out, what we see is that the relationship, when we learn how to, when we learn how to process emotions. And tonight, for a little while, I want to talk about shame. We talked about it, a few weeks ago or last week. I want to talk about anger, and I want to talk about fear. Those things are all so interconnected.
Mhm.
And if you're reading the book, you've read the book. There is one chapter where I talk about how emotions, how sometimes you think it's one emotion, but it's another. It shows up as another, but it's actually something else. And so navigating that with food in the background or in the context of food makes us think that it's the food that we're really dealing with, but what we're really dealing with is the emotions that's associated with the food. And I that story, that Stuckey story, um, is such an important story because it speaks to the fact that many of the notions that we have around how we manage food and what we think about food start in our childhood, right?
Mhm.
Start when we're very young, when we're very impressionable, and when we don't have a clear understanding of how the world works, right?
Mhm.
And so you go someplace like the Stuckies that is just filled with all these toys, that's filled with all this excitement, that's filled with the bright lights, that's filled with the food. It all becomes the same thing. And marketers know that. That's why that's why they put these fancy I mean, think about Cracker Jacks, right? Remember Cracker Jacks always had a toy on the inside,
Mhm.
right? Because now we're pairing the excitement of the popcorn, which is laced with sugar, by the way. That pop, it's all sugar, with the
Mhm.
excitement of the toy. And sometimes you don't even, as a kid, you don't even really care about the popcorn, right? But you want the toy. But
Mhm.
in order to get the toy, the popcorn comes with it, and you end up eating it. It becomes
Mhm.
you can't separate it.
Mhm.
So once we get real clear of what we have to ask ourselves, what do I want and what do I really want? What do I
Mhm.
want? What is going to satisfy my deepest desires? So let's just assume we are full. Let's assume we are full. Now what is it that I want? Do I want some peace? Do I want some control? Do I want calm? What do I want to be free from this fear? Do I want to be free from this anger? Do I want to be free from this shame? Do I want to be free from that? And how do I
Mhm.
get free from that? And the way that I get free from that is by understanding that that's what I want, and it's not the food that I actually want, and that food can never supply it. Food, once you can just kind of get it in your head,
Mhm.
and it takes practice and it takes process, because we're given so much information that tells us that food is something other than what it is. But once it clicks for you that food is just nutrition, that it's just nourishment, that it's just energy, that it is just fuel.
Mhm.
Once that clicks and it settles in your brain, then every decision that we make flows from there. It becomes really easy just to ask yourself the question, why am I eating this? Is this going to
Mhm.
satisfy is this going to satisfy my body? Right? Is this going to help my cells? Is it going to help my bones? Is it going to help my teeth? Is it going to help my eyes? Is it going to help my brains? Right? Is
Mhm.
this is this going to hurt me or heal me? Is it more important for me to nourish my body than to just dive into this taste thing? Why do I think taste is more important, right? What 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 do I need right now? Because when we just get focused on the taste, that means that we're looking for some pleasure to kind of help us navigate through a current situation.
Mhm.
We need the pleasure of that. And when we move that out of the way and start to focus on the situation and not be afraid of the situation, not be ashamed of the fact that we're in the situation, not be angry because we're in the situation, but just deal with the situation and see the situation, whatever it may happen to be, as an opportunity for growth, right? As an opportunity to figure out a solution, then then we can make the shift. Then we can
Mhm.
make the shift. And that and and that's why I'm here. That's what my work is all about. That's why I have a 52-week program
Mhm.
that is all about transformation. And it's
Mhm.
52 weeks. I want to tell you, Deborah Ann, that it is 52 weeks on purpose,
Mhm.
because transformation doesn't happen in a 6-week program or a 12-week program. It doesn't happen like that.
Mhm.
Transformation happens a day at a time, a little bit at a time. It happens so incrementally that you don't always see it while you're in it. And that's how
Mhm.
That's how sometimes we put on weight, right? Because it happens ounces at a time. We don't even see it, we don't even feel it until one day we look in the mirror and we don't recognize ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't, and not only do we not recognize ourselves, we don't remember the thoughts or the beliefs or the situations that got us there. And
Mm-hmm.
so once we get conscious, once we start to think, once we start to allow ourselves to sit in the emotions that I talked about earlier tonight, we can start rolling them back. And when you start to release the anger, the fear, the shame, when you start to release that in your mind, release that from your thoughts, then you can release it from your body. And one of the ways that you can release it from your body is what I teach, is the writing workshops that I do on the weekend. Write your way to your right way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, writing is so powerful. It is so powerful. And I think about how it is the one thing that saved me. Because for years, as I struggled and I would lose the weight and I would gain the weight and I would lose the weight, when the pandemic hit and I started to write these food stories, when I started to write my book, when I started to process these childhood um, situations around food and unpack them, that's when I got free. It
What
is the
about
writing.
people who feel like they don't write well, they can't spell?
It,
What about those
mm,
people
mm.
who will
Thank you.
say, we have 77% of people in Nashville who can't read on grade level, and the majority of people in Memphis are failing language arts. So if
Yeah,
that's the case now, it's probably been that way for 20, 30 years.
yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because writing, okay, writing is one of the ways that we learn. It's how we process information. We all heard
Mm-hmm.
learn how to write our name, do our ABCs and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But to even get to the writing piece, we have to get to the thought piece first.
Mm-hmm.
So, I remember the first really serious writing class that I took when I was in high school. The teacher walked in the room and she said, "In order to write clearly, you must think clearly.
Mm-hmm.
It is my job to teach you to think clearly." And
Mm-hmm.
what this Write Your Way to Your Right workshop is about helping you think clearly.
Okay.
So we get and everybody can think, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
there's this process that I call it is called intentional reminiscing.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to spell to be able to reminisce, right? Your grammar doesn't have to be perfect to reminisce. You don't have to have
Mm-hmm.
strong writing skills to reminisce. You can use the prompts that I give you to go back to the memory. It's about uncovering the memory. And
Mm-hmm.
when you uncover the memory, that's when you start the process. That's uncovering the memory. Uncovering the memory is part of your journey to recovery. And if you don't write it, you know what? Pull out your phone and record it. Just tell
Mm-hmm.
the story.
Yeah.
Capture the story. So writing is a metaphor for remembering and documenting the story, the memory that's keeping you trapped. So don't no writing skills necessary. But
Very good.
memory skills. I need you to have some memory skills. And if you don't have some memory skills, I have some tricks. I have some tricks to help you with that too. So
Mm-hmm.
no, no excuses. No excuses. You can get there. You can get there. You can get there. And and if you just want to start off in just like I say, step by step, then come to that Monday night class. Come
Mm-hmm.
to the Monday, Deborah, that's how you and I connected.
Oh,
Our
yes.
Monday night in the I Am Brand New Facebook group. You
Mm-hmm.
just go to I Am Brand New Now, join the Facebook group. I'll send you
Mm-hmm.
the link to the Zoom. It's every
Yeah.
Monday at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we come to that group and we share our truth. We share our truth, we share our stories, we share our victories, we share our struggles, we share our solutions, we share our thoughts. And what you know in that group is that you are not on this road alone.
Exactly.
That's what you hear, that you're not on this road alone. And then you also, the other thing that you get in that group, you get hope.
Oh yeah.
You get hope that there's a possibility that things can be different. You see other people doing it differently, and you see that the possibility exists for you. And that group is where you learn that now is the time. That group is where you learn that it is never too late, right?
Okay, so let's talk about, you mentioned shame a little bit. So let's talk about anger and fear because we have titled this conversation Shame, Anger,
Mhm,
and Fear. So people are
mhm.
going to watch this wanting some insight on just that. So let's
Right,
spend the
right,
last 5 minutes
right.
talking about what that means and what do you have to say about it in
Okay,
terms of healing.
okay. So here's what I want to say about it. I want to say that those emotions are perfectly legitimate.
Hmm.
And sometimes these emotions that we have been taught that are negative,
Hmm.
they can be catalysts for change in our lives. Everything
Hmm.
everything is a matter of how we see it. It's not the thing, it's our perspective about the thing. It's our perspective about the thing. And I gotta tell you something. I used to get so angry, and you might have heard me say this before. I used to get so angry when I would be out back in the day with what I call my skinny friends, right? And they would talk about, oh my God, I gained 3 pounds or I gained 5 pounds. And I would be heartless mad. I'm like, I just want to like, what do you mean talking to me about 3 pounds or 5 pounds? Yeah, that ain't nothing, right? Right? What are you talking about? And pass me the biscuits, by the way. Pass me the biscuits and stop talking about those 3 pounds or 5 pounds, right? And
Yeah.
what I didn't understand was that they knew something that I didn't know. That when you pay attention, the
Hmm.
lesson is to pay attention. When
Yeah.
you pay attention to the 3 and the 5, you can figure out what's going on. You
And
can nip
if
it.
they gain 5 pounds, they can't wear their clothes.
Yes. Yes. And
Mhm.
they don't fit quite right. You fit.
Yeah.
I mean, so that 3 pounds, that 5 pounds is a signal, that is information that something is off.
Hmm.
And they're paying attention to it. And I was ignorant. I didn't understand that that's what it was, because I was so
Hmm.
numb. I was so numb to my body, right? I was so unconscious. I didn't have that understanding. But once I got the understanding, right? Once I got the understanding, now I got it. Now I understand what they were talking about. But sometimes we have to look at the anger and say, what's really going on? What's really going on here? What is this anger trying to tell me? I didn't know how to go deeper with that anger. The only anger I felt was they can eat anything that they want and not gain weight. But if I eat whenever I eat, I gain weight, right? And I didn't understand the importance of desire, and having the desire to eat that which would support my health, rather than eating that which did not support my health. So we have to unpack the anger, right? And then,
Okay.
that fear, that fear piece. Talking to I was talking to a colleague, and we were exploring this notion of fear. And so what she said was that she was afraid of who she was underneath the weight loss.
Mm.
And And it's somebody, that she hadn't seen or been aware of, or known for a long time. And so there was some fear around dealing with this new person. And so the reality is that we have to look at that too. We have to look at that and have the faith and the understanding of, wherever we are. We're just a bundle of love. We're a bundle of good. We are a bundle of goodness, right? And that when you start to move the food out of the way, and you start to really lean into the emotions of being fully alive and processing that, then it's an opportunity for you to shine in a way that is really reflective of who you are, who you're meant to be, and what you're supposed to do on this planet. And we get there by just taking a step at a time. Taking a step at a time. You don't just, open up your eyes, one day, and you're completely changed. But you take a step, you get used to that. That's not so bad. That's pretty good. I think I like that. You take another step, and you come to another level of consciousness. I think I like that too, right? And so you get used to yourself. You get used to yourself. You get used to growing into the person that you have always been. You get used to that, and you look forward to that. And this last thing I want to talk about is this notion of shame. Is release that. Just release that. Release because we are perfect in our imperfection. And this food addiction, this beast that we've been dealing with, it is not our fault. We have these big, giant, fast food, snack food companies, junk food companies that have pushed this on us. And in pushing it on us, they have hijacked our brains. So it is not our fault. It is not your fault. And it is nothing to be ashamed of when this is done to you without your permission, without you knowing about it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Not at all. Not on any level. So this you can just kick that out of your head. And know that in this space, when we come here on Thursday nights and we have this conversation and we unpack this is a step that you can take to reclaim your brain, reclaim your life. You reclaim your brain, you reclaim your life by signing up for that 52-week transformation program, doing the writing class on the weekend, coming to the emotional support group on Monday nights, getting 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 connected to yourself.
Mhm.
Start sitting with your own emotions and and knowing that you are worthy of your own thoughts.
Okay.
You are worthy of your own thoughts.
So we are here talking about shame, fear, and anger. And we're liberal arts babies, and you're a journalism broadcasting person and salesperson. So what we have to do is, as we wrap up, is to assure people that who may not even know that they have shame, anger. Well, a lot of them know anger because they have bad attitudes, but fear. So I'm looking for, or looking to share, as you explain this to people, that there are experiences that you've had. And I tell them, for me, being this obese in the 400s, my obesity is laced with emotional issues. So when you look back at your life, the things that cause you to cringe, cause you not to sleep at night, cause you to think it's your fault, all of the things that happen, whether you were teased in school, mistreated, neglected, all of that stuff, that's what is called shame.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then anger, some people scream, yell, quick to fight, cuss, all of that stuff. I'm going to get you before you get me. When you
Mhm.
have that type of, that's how you live your life.
Mhm.
Quit a job in a minute if they get mad.
Mhm.
Or feel that, I love, and I hate if somebody white see this, but I love telling my people who are black like me, when you say it's because I'm black, most of the time, if you have a job where they constantly hire new people every week, it's really not because you're black. It's
Mhm.
just because they can. When
Mhm.
you have a position that if you resign, they beg you to come back, that's because now your talent is there.
Mhm.
So it's more prejudicial when someone um a prejudice against you because they may not care for black people, and if they can, because they're in a higher position than you are. So that's a little bit different. And especially if you have a bad attitude, even if you do your job, any old thing. So those are things that happen to us that cause us to be angry in the workplace. And maybe when you go to an interview and people will say, oh, well, she's big or he's big, so I don't want to hire them. That's a little bit prejudicial. I can see you being angry. But show enough, when you have the skills and when you've been promised this, when people promise you the promotion or the $30,000 bonus or whatever, and whew, you don't get it, then you
Mhm.
become bitter. And half of the way you're dealing with it stems back to these issues,
Mhm.
especially those of us or those of y'all who were smaller in college or in your 20s, and you're as big as me now. I
Mhm.
wasn't always this big. So those things of shame, anger, and fear, and I had no idea that my body was protecting me. I'm like, look, I'm trying to lose this weight, but apparently my body is protecting. I'm like, buddy, I don't need this protection. You got to
Mhm.
go.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
want you to really wrap us up specifically with a message for those who have unknown shame,
Mhm.
unrecognized anger, those who are so sweet and nice all the time. You ain't that nice. I'm nice. I'm nice
Right.
like that, but I ain't that
Right.
nice. And everybody's like,
Right.
they say, "Oh, you're always smiling now. Man, you're always happy." I'm not always happy. I just
Mhm.
smile.
Mhm.
So, and
Mhm.
those you know, who don't leave the house just because they big or because they're in pain, they don't go nowhere. But they want to
Mhm.
go somewhere. It's
Mhm.
different if you don't go anywhere and you're perfectly happy. But most people who don't go anywhere want to go somewhere.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Right. Right.
I want you to give a final message specifically for people who are experiencing shame, anger, and fear.
Sure.
Because
Sure.
they're going to want to know what to do tonight or tomorrow when they listen to this message.
Yeah. So at the root of that of those three things, shame, anger, and fear, and I like the way that Deborah Ann that you kind of define the shame, is this is at the root of it is a feeling of unworthiness.
There you
That
go.
I am not worthy. So
Mm.
shame, anger, and fear all just kind of converge in this place of unworthiness. So I'm ashamed because I am unworthy. I believe I am unworthy. I have gotten a message somehow from someone that I am unworthy. So I'm ashamed of that. And now I'm angry because I'm unworthy. I'm angry because I don't get the benefits. I don't get the exposure. I don't get the this. I don't have the that because I am unworthy. Right. And along with that unworthiness is that the fear that if I connect with other people, if I let other people see who I am, then they're going to know that I'm unworthy. That's 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 all balled up into one thing. And I'll I'll share this with you. There's a story in the book. I know we're running a little long, but I do want to unpack this some. There's a story in the book, and we you mentioned it last week of um of me going losing weight to go back to my high school reunion,
Mhm.
and how diligently I would work because in between those reunions I would gain weight, and I never wanted to go back looking the way I looked because I was ashamed. Right? I was ashamed that I had let myself go, that I hadn't taken care of myself, that there was stuff going on the inside of my life and it was manifesting on the outside of my life. But here's a story that is not in the book. Here's something that I want to share with you. Um, I My best friend got married when right after we graduated from college. I was supposed to be in her wedding. One of my best friends, I did not be a bridesmaid. I was not a bridesmaid in her wedding because I was ashamed of how much weight I had gained. And I did not I missed it. I missed it. I pretended. I pretended that I had and I have never told this to anybody. I have never told this to anybody. But I pretended that I had another crisis that was keeping me away from it. And actually, and I did my it happened right around the same time that my mother died. But my
Mhm.
mother died like weeks before, but I used it. And so people forgave me because they understood. But but I could have gone, but I couldn't go. Right, I could have gone, but I couldn't go, and it wasn't because my mother died, it was because I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed because of how I looked, and I missed this special day, and I was not a part of that celebration, that event. I missed it. I missed that thing because of embarrassment, because of shame, because of fear of what people were gonna say. People were gonna talk about me. People were gonna talk about how much weight I gained. So it was about me and not about my friend. It right?
Mhm.
So I was
So,
embarrassed, I was afraid, and I was angry. I was angry with myself. All of those things converged. And I didn't know how to cope with it. But here's for anybody that is struggling with that right now. Here's what I say. Don't don't be afraid, because as soon as you face the thing, whatever the
mhm.
thing is, it loses its power, right? It loses its power. And now what I know is had I gone to that wedding, everybody would have said, "Oh, Michelle, oh my God, it's so good to see you." Right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Nobody was gonna be saying all those nasty things that I thought they were gonna say.
Mhm.
That was
Well,
all in my head.
I
And
will say for those, because I really want you to tell somebody what to do. So what I'm
yeah,
gonna say is, if you could put in the comments, "I am worthy." Hashtag I am worthy. And if
hashtag
you look in the description, and you'll see Michelle's information, and you can join her on Saturday. This Saturday at
mhm,
11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, there's going to be a 90-minute writing class. And you don't have to write well. You can write and misspell words and not write in sentences, but you will be encouraged to deal with the shame, fear, and anger. And nobody else has to know that but you,
mhm, mhm.
because sometimes people are going to be going to work with this on their mind. They want help. They don't know why. When I looked down at my legs, I didn't know why it had gotten more than 20 inches fat. I'm like, what happened? I ain't know. So I appreciate you, giving us this insight. We want to keep in mind those baby people who are just starting off as babies with their weight and wellness, and they're in pain. And I don't know that everybody who's over 400 pounds has home health care people and things like that, but I'm glad that they do. But I also know that there is hope.
Yes, yes,
Amen,
there
porch
is
lady.
hope. I
Amen.
am worthy. I am
And
worthy. Yeah.
and then
Just
those who have been losing weight, who have more to go, they need help Because a lot of times I met lots of people who've lost 100 pounds who are struggling just like they ain't lost five.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
yes, so you
Yes.
have a large group of people, and if you know some people who struggle or who are trying to lose weight, share this video because there's only love and acceptance and joy in this channel.
Yes. I love that. That's, Deborah Ann, that's Lodge. Love, acceptance, and joy. That's
Mhm.
Lodge.
Okay.
Because that what you just said about, some people will lose 100 pounds and still struggle. See, every little thing, every little step, every little breakthrough, every little glimmer, every little everything, we have to celebrate like it's big. We
Mhm.
because here's what happens is if we lose a pound, right? We say, "Oh my God, I only lost a pound. I did all this work. I only lost a pound." Right? And we
Mhm.
beat ourselves up. But if we love on that pound and we celebrate that pound, like, because a pound, after you do a pound a week for 50 weeks for a year, that's 50 pounds. So
Mhm.
we celebrate it like it's 50, right? So
Yes.
if it's what is in your mind, you think of it as a little win, you have to celebrate it like it's a huge win, like it's a big win, like it's a gigantic win, like it's the best thing on the planet. And because what happens is if you make a little mistake, if you slip up a little bit, you beat yourself up for it forever, right?
Mhm.
You beat yourself up. You beat yourself up, and you make this little thing into this thing that becomes like a weight that keeps you down that you can't recover from. And we have to shift that energy so that when we slip up, when we make a little mistake, we just treat it like it's a little mistake that we can recover from. Oh, I slipped up. Oh,
Okay.
I can correct that.
Okay.
So we flip it.
Okay. So we have been talking about shame, anger, and fear. We've been talking with our special guest, Michelle Pettis, who is a subject matter expert on how to deal with the emotions and actions around weight loss and managing food, who has lost over 700 pounds throughout her life, who is at her weight, who got into her white jeans, and who wants to share that message with you. And I want to thank her for being with us and look forward to her being next Thursday. And also let you know, if you look in the description, you can join her on Saturday. Class normally is 35, it's $25. You can join her on Monday. Class is complimentary. You can take her 52-week class. You can look at her website, Michelle Pettis. If you have a food story that you want to share, you want to say, you know what, let me tell her about what happened to me. This happened to me, and I started eating, didn't realize it as a child, in college, whatever the case may be. Once I got married, I'm a housewife, whatever the case may be. We were poor and hungry as a child, so I always got lots of food. Whatever your story is, if you would like to share that, email her at michelle@michellepettis.com. And it's all in the description. So keep asking your questions. I always get them and forward them to her in your comments as well. And so we just thank you so much.
Thank you so much
Thank you
for having
so
me.
much.
I am
Yes.
so looking forward to continuing these
Yes. And
conversations.
what I'm looking forward to is I'm going to reach out to my friends who are in Kenya, who are in Ghana, who are in Liberia, and I want to let them know that we want to talk to those who are struggling with their weight. I didn't even realize I was talking to a gentleman. He was like, "Yeah, people go to Europe, to Italy to get the weight loss surgery." I'm like, "They got weight loss issues in Africa." So I want to connect with those people so we can encourage them as well. They already are on my line, but I want them to know we want to have a community where we
Yes,
just want them to come on. If we have to have 1,500 guests on here, we want them to share. We
Yes.
may need an
Yes.
interpreter. So that's
Yes.
going to be what our future looks like, because sometimes we think we're the only one. And if we see someone who looks different than us or just like us, especially in Australia, then maybe it will give us more staying power.
Yes.
So until next Thursday, then I want to thank you, and I'll see you then. And thank everybody. We want everybody to put in the comments, I am worthy.
I
And if
am
you
worthy.
Yes, if you have felt worthless and you want to share that with us, we receive your comments, but you must let us know, I am worthy. Even if you don't believe it, I
Yeah.
want you to write it in there. I am worthy. Thank you, Porch Lady. I thought Porch Lady was 66. Porch Lady said she ain't 66. Baby, she younger than that. So we're going to say, forgive me. Porch Lady is my number one supporter. She's in Detroit, Michigan. We'll shout out
Thank you,
Detroit,
porch lady.
Michigan.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yes,
porch lady.
yes. Yes, she's wonderful. Oh my goodness. I just spoke with her earlier today. She didn't want to be on camera, so we didn't force her. But she's
Okay.
there with us in spirit.
We
So
appreciate that. We
peace
appreciate
and
that.
hair grease, everybody. We appreciate you. I am worthy hashtag. Bye.
Bye, all.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
You're welcome.